This is the Sony Clie PEG-SJ22. It's a personal digital assistant, or PDA, from 2003, a full 4 years before the iPhone was released. Yes, the iPhone that changed the world when Steve Jobs got on stage and blew people's minds with basic touchscreen scrolling that we take for granted nowadays. But while this PDA doesn't have that simple touchscreen scrolling interface, it brought a lot to the table that predicted a very different future, a future where PalmOS reigned supreme, and iOS or Android may have never existed. Alright, so the Sony Clie. What's so special about this device? Well, let's first talk about the outside of it, the design itself. So, this is the device with its protective cover on the front. And as you can see, we got this proprietary charging port on the bottom. Looks like a couple slots to hook it up to a cradle if you wanted. And back here, we can unlock that cover and take it right off the device. Pretty simple. And that's what I'll probably do here, because this cover has definitely seen better days. You can see right here it is very tattered, kind of falling apart, so we're just going to toss that to the side. But the actual device itself is in very good condition. We got the jog wheel on the side here. You can use that to kind of navigate some things. You can hit the back button to go back in menus. We have this front display, a nice big display for the time period in 2003. And we have these touch buttons down here. Now, they're touch buttons. This is actually a pressure-sensitive screen that you're meant to use the stylus with, which was a very popular method of inputting to devices back in the day. We also have these shortcut keys to instantly bring you to a specific thing. So you can click that button, it brings you to the memo pad. You can go back here to your home screen by pressing that touch button for home. You can go up and down pages using this button right here. And it's a pretty straightforward setup right there. You can even use the jog wheel to navigate through things. And you can click into things right from there. Now, the big flaws with this device are it's using a pressure-sensitive screen, so you can't just easily touch things. You can see it's kind of trying to touch things, but it's not doing a very good job. You can't really scroll like that, because that wasn't a thing yet. Apple brought that into the picture with the launch of the iPhone in 2007. So you have to use this little scroll bar on the side, or your jog wheel, which I'm sure most people probably use the jog wheel to kind of get through things. It's a little finicky if you try to go fast. You can see it's kind of skipping back and forth there as I go, but it does the job for the most part. Let's also talk about the handwriting pad down here. So you can go down to your memo pad, and if I wanted to write into this, well, you might notice there's no on-screen keyboard, and if I click, it doesn't bring up one. I can select text and that kind of thing, but it doesn't bring up an on-screen keyboard. So how are you supposed to write? Well, you're supposed to use this memo pad, so you use certain gestures to basically write on screen. Let me write on screen. There we go. And I don't know all the gestures off the top of my head, but there is a demo on the device to kind of show you how that works. So you can also use the on-screen keyboard by pressing that A button, and there we go, right on screen. And for most people nowadays, that's going to be the way that they're writing with this thing. They're not going to bother with that. Pretty nifty little setup. Now, let's say I went to delete this note. I go hit details and I hit delete, and you might notice it says delete current memo, save archive copy on PC. And you might be wondering, well, how are you supposed to save the archive copy on the PC if the PC isn't connected? This doesn't have wireless, this doesn't have cellular or anything like that to Bluetooth it to the PC in any way or something like that. Well, the way you're meant to do it is by hot syncing, and hot syncing is a method to basically keep this device updated with your PC's Outlook, that kind of thing, and you'd use their fancy little proprietary cable and connector here to sync it to the device. So you have a mini USB here and the actual charging cable, and that's how it charges and that kind of thing. And they would have expected that you hot sync regularly, like at least weekly, that kind of thing, to make sure your contacts and your appointments all stay up to date with what's on your PC. So that's a pretty nifty little way to stay connected with this device, even though it has no wireless at this time. So let's also talk about what other things you could do. You could do multimedia with this device, very simple multimedia. It was the photo viewer that you had here, and you also had, if I can scroll up here, it's very finicky. You have the Canoma video player, and so that's how you could play animations or videos, that kind of thing, on this device. If we go to PG Pocket, You can see there's a sample photo there, pull it up pretty easily, displays the photo, pretty decent resolution for what it is on this device back in the day. We can hit MS, and that shows us our memory stick, which is an actual Sony proprietary memory stick back here. And I took this photo with this Sony CyberShot camera in the background here, which I might make a video about some other time. But yeah, here is kind of an example of how Sony expected you to use a device like this, is you could hook up that memory stick from their camera and you could use the jog wheel to kind of zoom in, very low resolution. And even this device has trouble displaying this photo because it is not the fastest processor inside of this. This definitely does not hold up in modern standards at all. But, you know, it gets the job done for the time period that it was set in. Now, does it hold up nowadays? Well, it really doesn't have the specs, the feature set that modern smartphones have. And for most people, we've come to rely on that for most of our day-to-day needs. But it really shows the time period that this was set in, where a business person might be using this to navigate their life as they organize their meetings and their calendar events and whatnot back in 2003. Before the iPhone really kind of set the scene for what modern day technology would look like. It's a very interesting, different future that could have been where Sony dominated this market. So yeah, it's not really something you might be able to use today, but it is a very cool piece of history that I wanted to make sure we featured and documented for archival's sake. So yeah, if you liked this video, make sure you hit that like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe and hit the bell so you get notifications so I can keep making more videos like this. Because yeah, I just want to document interesting tech like this. So yeah, if you liked it, make sure you hit that like, subscribe to see more, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.